Then share that with me, just to go through that account, I'll take a look at it. I would like a large just because. And cheapest. How much of the cheap is all that now?
Yes, and
one thing I'm trying to enforce is more.
We have some stuff that does not.
It does not, no visitor elevators are not high, I would like to look at and walk it. I've been with different things, and you know, well, that was all the other thing that actually in the back is.
Last I heard of, they were doing this in
It's in the center of there, he has a picture of it now, but we can show you our sector. It's just key, you turn on the ground, it's there, it's only goes away by the summer, they're okay. Which sounds like it goes away by summer.
I'm getting there.
Another thing is that so he's not gotten any progress. So probably after
it's just better for her to go through and see if she can find it. Sure. Like, if it's in the short one, if it's in the short one.
If it's in the short one, there's not a lot of places where it's.
That was my thing. If the only reason it might be the short one by some chance is if somehow, I think that's a whole weird battle short. So there's two banners. She knew they were in the short one. She also told her that I know we had two banners there.
Indeed it is.
And normally keep all the banners up there.
Here.
I just.
You may want to set that up there, please. Thank you. Also, you're now on the live.
Yeah, something happened over there.
Yeah, snow, you go through the lockers for your car.
Oh,
Just get the match.
One thing about it, Chris, you were mentioning maybe doing Pathfinder and Edward.
Yes.
Hello. Hello.
I would not do those, I do one of the other.
Right. So that's why I'm wondering if maybe that's a good place for some people to try.
Then I would, and I would go to the activities page on where I get stuff on. Because I was looking at it, I have something, but at least it looks, because I've been that, I don't think I'm gonna come back to it. So that would actually make a look up on my end. Yes. One last thing, go for it up here. Yes, start walking.
Last 2 days have been kind of
Really move my car.
been really freaking cold. Well, it's been one of those good thing, bad thing. Good thing. Thursday was my performance review, so in addition to the 10% plus raise, I'm basically now head of the engineering/R&D division. It's my
Officially, where you were probably doing it unofficially for the last how many years now?
year and a half, yeah. So my title is probably going to change to either engineering manager or more likely senior lead engineer, senior or lead engineer.
Not principal engineer, because that's what we call ours.
I also get the chance to work from home, and I'm the only employee to do so. Bad side. Yesterday, big hullabaloo with Mayo Clinic and the drug trial company for the big trial we're a part of, and everyone's breathing down my neck because they are talking. Frustrating. I'm going to be trying something new because the YouTube live stream is always so janky. I'm going to live stream it, but I'm going to record with this, and then I can just put the video here straight up, and it'll be a lot easier.
Yeah, that's where I see most, like if you watch SV Seeker, most of them that use the YouTube live streaming half the time. SV Seeker actually has two cameras mounted right next to each other. They have a real 4K, and then they have a little potato next to it. And the potato is what they use for live stream, and then they put up an hour or two later, they put up the actual good footage.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Mainly because they're walking around a big metal ship sitting in the person's yard, and sometimes Wi-Fi just goes away.
Metal has that already. go ahead.
I don't know anything about that.
All right, you should be recording now.
I still have access.
My boss on Tuesday at our one-on-one just said, don't come in on Wednesday, it's too damn cold. Do you have anything else you have to do that you really need to be at work? No, I'm supposed to meet people after work. And had I known we were going to be at the Mall of America, I would have just went to work. And Thursday I went to work. And my boss on the one conference call said, did you go into work then? Yeah, I did. Why? Because it's not that bad out actually. It's going to warm up, and so I'm not too concerned about it.
I went on Thursday. Because as my boss said, we don't do snow days around here. Oh, great. Well, I like it because it's $60. I don't like it because the firmware is janky as hell and it keeps freezing. It's the Yi light.
Which is that?
The Yi light.
Okay. I don't know if I've ever heard or played with that brand.
It's the GoPro competitor. Well, the upper line model is a definite contender. It's like $200, and it does everything that the GoPro does for $600 at the same time.
My uncle has a GoPro-like device that he uses in a waterproof case when he windsurfs. And that's kind of cool to see. He normally has it mounted up on top of his mast. So it's shooting down, seeing him.
Also, we'll talk more.
And of course, Milan's not going to be here.
I saw that.
I needed to talk to him, so.
Here's a slow burn portion that's not going to be very, fast burning, so.
It's gonna be cold again next week.
It's supposed to rain, freezing rain, and sleet tomorrow. That'll turn into snow and sleet on Monday morning.
And there's a simple argument how important is it $500-$600? How far is, how many becomes time?
Yeah, time is money.
If it's 10 minutes each way, that's not a discussion. If we're starting to talk 20, 30 minutes each way, that's a discussion. And that's going to happen. And if that has heated with lots and a hot tub on top of it, 25 minutes away, we're fine at that time.
Did you have to join with this?
In truth, Matt, there is no place for me to go up in my organization other than if I would take my boss's position. And I have zero interest in managing IT. Zero interest.
Well, I got asked if I wanted to take IT back. And I said I would be happy to help with larger scale things, and I think it would be good for me to have backup access to it, because I am as technical as I am, but I don't want to be able to take it. And they said, okay, that sounds good. So they were like, yeah, we come to you anyways for the big stuff, even though you're not part of IT.
Well, technically, we have two divisions, because these are super divisions. And coming township.
Oh, and then
I hear bad voices in my head.
I hear them outside my head too. They're everywhere.
Talk about that, but, yeah, Maureen. And with that going, that was something in my back of my mind that I was going to forget.
This is nice.
He looks very.
It's almost like cramping. It's every 5-10 minutes, I just get this stabbing pain and then immediately go down.
Why do I always set up assuming there's actually going to be people there?
I figure that probably most of the people aren't going to start showing up until at least March.
May. But there's nothing important to learn until then. If all goes well, the youth program's going to be set up by March. Because I want to double check with Roland and make sure he wants me, or if he minds that I am doing everything.
I think Roland, Chris, and myself have to, and photographer have to sit down because I want to transfer part of the functionality that they're to photography. When it comes to right now, the parade and photo shoot have basically been programming's dealing with this. And I want to turn this slightly on its head, and I want to make sure that photography has a seat at that table so they can better understand what's going on.
Speaking of photography, with Cyrus from gaming and all of that, I want to talk with Yarrick and see how he'd feel, because we have a superfluity of photographers.
We will have, when everything's said and done after 2020, no, in 2020, we'll have 2 photographers left.
Hey, everybody, we'll get started shortly, but if you need to go use the restroom or anything like that, this is the perfect time.
Because I know that Harold is not enjoying himself, and so he's just going to step away. I said, hey, you gotta do what you need to do. You don't feel bad about it. So it's just gonna be Kemet and Makaloo and then Yarrick. But I think even 2 people can mostly deal with this without too much of a problem. It's studio that, it's wandering that's gonna suffer. But yeah,
But there's ways to deal with that.
yeah, there's.
I'm gonna go to the restroom. That's why I get the warning. Plus, I can boot up something. Spelling Google.
Is that spelled EVIL?
Yeah, I think that's the new name for them. I just like that Facebook was caught red-handed to do it. They're like, oh yeah, Google, you're doing the same thing, so if you're more public about it at least. So here you go, you lost your certificates. Have a nice day. Hope your apps don't work.
And I'm quite sure Google wouldn't have been affected if Facebook literally didn't just turn it out.
Yeah.
Mainly because I don't think Apple really cares as much as long as it's not publicly being flaunted. And Facebook was publicly flaunting it.
Yeah.
Well, like the one scale I have is flat.
That was the problem with that one, so.
Of course, Slash.com it's turned into, see, if Apple is evil, they take away your search without notification, without warning. And you're not even doing anything bad. Think of all the apps that you break because they decided to put a master on. They don't have access to their search. They can't disable their search. They're all signed by the master. So
Yeah.
I'm quite sure it'll get resolved. At least in Google. Google and Apple have enough of a relationship that they.
I think once
Facebook completely
So, you know.
internally said everything is okay. Here, we disabled it, we deleted it, we did all this stuff. Apple gave them reinstated the certificate.
It's the same.
I'm thinking Google will have the same thing, but it's good.
Essentially, those grain elevators are situated in such a way that they are literally the smallest block.
Well, I could see Apple's basically saying, okay, you need to resign.
And
Here's your new master cert, re-sign your application. Because I think that would be, I think from Apple's point of view, that'd be a better solution. And because it guarantees if there's any of those apps still floating around, they're still invalid.
As long as it's under 2,000 pounds of transfer.
But then I think they,
Wherever you are, there's a lot of industry standard.
Yeah.
So it's gonna come down to what you drive on.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're gonna be talking about, offices.
Yeah. Some of those.
No, keep in mind that the ARC is not gonna wanna do anything ahead this year. So,
It's worth a shot.
That are.
it's supposedly loading my agenda.
Actually have to drive in.
The best.
Yours agendas are easy, isn't it? Number 1, Acme, number 2, Acme, number 3, large explosives, number 4.
Well, I haven't checked my active rates yet. They might have been attacked by somebody, so.
By the way, you're half out of frame right there.
But,
You're half out of frame standing right there.
oh, cool.
Although it was a jam here.
Half yoke.
Oh, good. See, my Acme crate wasn't stolen yet.
Yeah, it has a color scheme. So, I don't know.
Do you need to bring a nice bright light to put on here too?
I mean, the good thing about the dots.
I'm trying to keep it as
Okay.
simple as possible.
Just take a flashlight to it.
Or if you prefer, or you don't care about having.
There you go.
If we.
Here, we'll just do this.
The, ramp, we can make it.
You see how little that actually made an effect when you're standing there.
Okay. I'm at the phase of, I need a little bit warmer, but I don't want to take out I'm a little bit warm, but I don't want to take out my jacket.
After minus 40 below, outside feels like t-shirt and
I
shorts
know.
weather.
I debated wearing mine. I debated wearing mine. I'm gonna kill it.
So,
Laddie.
let's get going here. First of all, I would like to make sure everybody here knows I really appreciate you coming to this or hearing me on the phone or reading these notes because, or whatever ways. Hi, Internet Wetland. Hi, Shadow. You know you're there for sure. February is one of the hardest month. A lot of people have a lot of things going on, and to be honest, a lot of people just look at the con as, well, that's happening in September. We'll worry about that later. So one of the things why we still have ConCom meetings at this time, even though we know that the attendance is not going to be as good, is because we want to keep people moving. We want to keep people going. Otherwise, we're losing momentum every time we don't have these meetings and we don't do this. For better or for worse, I'm going to make sure this is not a 3-hour epic blockbuster meeting here. And if we're talking, we can reserve that until, July. So we're going to keep this going. We're going to keep this going pretty fast. And after the ConCom meeting's over, for people that want to see it, I'm going to go through the budget and have it recorded so we can actually have it on the net for a couple people. Because one of the things about the budget, everybody's mystified about it, how it comes about, and how we do it. And we are a nonprofit. We are an organization that should be as transparent as possible. And one of the things I'd like to do and think about that is to go through the budget and see show people what we're doing and everything else and how we come up with our numbers. And and people, and it's also a good time to ask them where things go. But, so with that being said, we're gonna have a little bit more talking about staff in general. We're gonna talk a little bit about volunteers. I'll handle the talking on some of that stuff. And we're gonna talk about theme, and we're gonna talk a little bit about Milestone's website. A lot of little stuff I'm gonna hold over until March. Like we're gonna talk more about hotel and hotel space in March when our hotel heads have to deal with something else, so they could not come to this session. They really wanted to talk about a couple things, and I said, let's hold it. I don't want to take away your thunder. So, and we will, like I said, we'll just go through this, and if there's any questions at any time, of course, always just raise your hand, say something, scream it out loud. Slack is great to say something, and if you say something on Slack, Radea will hopefully tell me. Unless it's really, really stupid, then what goes on Slack stays on Slack, I hope.
So far, it's high cursed.
Hi there. But like I said, we're missing a lot of people, including Sora, Donald, and Goofy. So it's just, it's just, like I said, this is a very hard month. The January, February, and March months are hard months for Minnesota for some reason, for meetings in general. So, Dee, do you want to handle a lot of Emmett first stuff? Or do you want me to just rattle off a couple things? Come over here. There's actual people. There is an audience. And we would like to welcome on the stage Dee.
So let's see, what is there? I think that there's bowling today. I think that's where hotel has left on us and has decided instead that we are going to go bowling, which.
I'm right here.
Sorry. Eric.
Yeah, but I just wanted the whole team here to talk about this.
Yeah. Sorry.
Not trying to.
Yeah, sorry. Aside from that, you can check for our upcoming events on mnfirst.org. We are currently in the process of continuing our board of directors elections. We have a great team together helping and consulting with the elections. Kirst is one of them. We also have our Midnight and Kizits are also helping out, and we're getting a little bit of advice from the former queen of the election process. Thank you very much for helping out on that. More information about that is on mnfirst.org also. Aside from that, can't really think of anything off the top of my head.
There's two things. I would like to expand on the elections things.
Sure.
Most people that in this room will probably have enough hours ready to vote for the elections if they haven't. If you want, and you can inquire if you have enough hours or not. But a lot of people, as long as you've been entering your time after the meetings and stuff like that, you should already have it. We do have coming up, we'll have questionnaires from the candidates will be answered and posted on the web, but more importantly, we have a discussion on, don't quote me on the date exactly, I think it's the 16th? 17th. It's Sunday the 17th. We're going to have a Q&A discussion. It will be held in the, what they call the classroom.
Classroom, yeah.
Because it has a little bit better audio and was a place we could get at this time. So we hope that people will come to that. We will have it also on the web in some form or fashion. We still have we have not announced our candidates yet. It's not because we don't have any. In fact, we have more than 3, so we will have an election.
Yep.
But at the same time, we want to go through and make sure anybody that is thinking about it is not pressured or don't feel left out, that they didn't decide and all of a sudden we're going forward.
Yep, you're currently in the cool down and acceptance phase, I believe,
Yep.
for candidates.
Yep. But we already have, I can only say we have 4 candidates accepted at this point. So we will have an election process at this point. It's just not I was hoping to get some ways 3, so we just go, oh, it's done.
Yep. Also for ours, over the last almost year or so, we've only had about 120, 130 submissions of ours to the convention side of everything. If you are staff or you've helped out staffing in the last year and you have missed out on entering any hours, you just need 20 hours in order to have full voting rights. I would love it to see those hours getting reported. There's a laptop back there. If you're here in person, you can do it. If you are online or if you don't feel like using the laptop on that, look at the Slack channel, the regular chat channel that we have in it. Almost every single ConCom, I've posted the link to be able to self-report into that. If it's been a couple of months and you've done 20 hours, it's fine to just go in and say, hey, I've reported a couple of hours, I'm just gonna enter 20 hours. It's kind of a honor system that we do have when it comes to hours. We do a little bit of gut checking. So when Kirst, for example, enters infinite hours, as he sometimes does, or 999, I challenge that. But generally speaking, if you attend the ConComs or review the ConComs alone without showing up to the convention, odds are you have at least 20 hours.
Is there any online way of checking it ourselves, or do I?
Unfortunately,
you have to, so what's going to happen is you can contact me, staff admin at, or there will also be a contact point, I believe, once I submit the hours over. They're going to combine society and convention hours together, which should hopefully be pretty easy. And well, easier than going through absolutely everything and compiling it line by line. And then if you're short, they're going to reach out to you.
yeah. If you're short by like 5, we're not reaching out to you. I'm sorry. You're short. I mean, short. You only did 5 hours. We're probably not going to reach out to you. But if you're short by 10, we want to make sure that everybody's got their hours and everything else accounted for.
Last year, I was short half an hour.
But attending these meetings do count.
Yeah.
That's a key thing a lot of people don't know, is just attending meetings. This is a holdover from how we used to do it with the, when we did a lot of community meetings and we did voting on, as before Furry was even a thing. We had to be able to vote at meetings, you had to attend the meetings.
Yep.
And that counted.
So switching my hat over to staffing administrator for a moment.
Hi, Staffman.
Next year, this time, I hope to have it so that you will be able to check your hours and be able to see everything your source, at least convention side.
Yeah.
Once we get some of this like hours reporting, volunteer automation stuff, working on the staff side and then starting to sprinkle down to volunteers, we're going to start sharing this with the society itself. And hopefully these processes together will allow us to have an easy reporting a year or two down the line and be able to basically make it so you feel like you're more involved and you can actually see your hours adding up over time. Or, oh, I missed entering my hours when I was actually at the convention. I'm going to quickly do that right now before the election, before they pull the data from me.
Listen.
So if a person is short a couple hours and they want to help out, what's coming up that they can help out with?
What are things that, if a person is like short, like 2 hours, what can they do to help out?
Are there any major events coming up?
Well, first of all, if they want to help on running the elections, the Q&A part of it, that's going to be a 3 to 4 hour help process on that. And we do need 1 or 2 people to help out on that. And that is before that. But I mean, it's going to be case by case. We can probably find some help administrative, right?
Yeah.
If they want to throw, one of the easier ways is actually just throw your own event for the group. And that's a quick way to do it too.
And also, if there's retroactively something in the last 10 or 11 months or so.
Help me.
Where camp?
Yes, we're going to talk about that after.
Yeah.
But Where Camp is after our date of,
Yeah.
unfortunately, March 1st is one of our,
Yeah.
so figure out, there might be stuff to prep for. We do have things like, and I'll talk a little bit about this, and then in between these black lines, it's Anime Detour is having a wing party.
Yeah.
that there could be things that they could make for Enemy Detour's room party, props and other things to decorate the room, so we actually have it around our theme.
And oddly enough, they have a sporting theme this year as well.
Yeah, so at the same time, there are things that can be done if you're really, there's things that can be done in general, okay? It's not that you have to be waiting for it to say, oh, I got 3 hours. We always have things for it to do. We need volunteers and staff. So.
Yeah, if you only need a couple of hours, probably you just missed a reporting time or something like that, or we can find something.
Yeah, if you're, like I said, if you worked at the con last year as a staff, we're pretty sure that you probably have. This is not meant to be we don't try to make voting hard. We try to make voting easy and make voting as much of the community that is involved with our group as possible. It's not meant to be, we didn't create this system to stop people from being part of Amendment First. We want them to be part of it. So one of the things that we said, mentioned kind of on there is Where Camp is coming up. And I guess I don't get to talk the whole time here. People just keep on coming up here, which is kind of neat.
Well, do you know the dates?
Let me guess. Today is it's going to be the second week. Actually, the first weekend or the second weekend. Ooh, this is a hard one. It's this first weekend.
No.
Oh,
You have a ConCom.
True. No, I remember we had a ConCom. That's why it's this first weekend. It's the same weekend as the ConCom. Would be always with how people do stuff around here.
You know better. So the second weekend in March, we have Where Camp. It's going to be down at Whitewater State Park. It's about a half an hour east of Rochester. This will be our second year. And as a side note, we got our reservations in for 2020, and we will actually be in January where we always plan to be. So that's getting ahead of myself. But this year, it's going to be Friday, March 8th, starting about noon. You can start checking in, and then checkout is Sunday, March 10th. Now, fees for this, if you're just going down and you don't care who you are with in a cabin, it's $80. That includes all your food that time, firewood, lodging and everything. It covers all that. Now, if you, as 3 friends, want to be in your own little cabin room, you pay $100 and register saying, hey, I want to be roomed with these 3 people, and they all register for $100, and they say, hey, I want to be with these 3 people. You have a room. It's a little weird, but these cabins are heated. They're kind of nice, and we did this last year. It worked out pretty well. So if you want to hang out with your friends in your cabin, not come out, whatever. Otherwise, we do have a main hall where we have a full kitchen where we're doing, what did we make? We had scalloped potatoes and a ham. We did, sorry, I'm blanking on it. We had curry. We were doing not normal camp food. So we have a decent kitchen with ovens there. So we have not set the menu. It's kind of based on suggestions by people who register. And when we get closer, we'll have an idea what our menus will look like. We're looking for staff if you want to do some panels. I know a certain that was talking about maybe doing panels about photography.
Probably.
Okay, but we're looking for that, some help in the kitchen, things like that. So if you want to find out more about it, you can go to the mnfurs.org website and look where they're talking about Where Camp. There'll be a link in there. You can go to the registration page and tell you a lot more details. Otherwise, see me after the meeting and we could talk about it more.
Yeah.
Anything?
The other thing is, this is annual things. This is the second annual. So this is not
It's the
first
second,
time.
it's not annual until it's the 3rd year.
Okay, fine. I've found people don't know English either, so.
What?
But I love when it's the first annual myself. So, well, we have a 3rd date and it's paid for.
That'll be the annual one.
So, but I mean, this was successful last year. It is a very small, low-key event. It is not, you're not going to have 500 people there. You're not going to have 100 people there. I don't think it can support 100 people there.
It can support 160.
Yes, but
God, dear God, no.
see,
Random question, are we ever looking at doing this in the summer where I don't have to be cold?
well, are you running it?
Yeah, so for immigration. Possibly. I don't want to step on toes, so there's.
Right now, they don't want to run it in the summer.
It's too hard to get these sites with the state parks for groups.
Yes, I'm well aware because I'm looking at doing something. I have to do 20 reservation for this year.
Yeah. So I mean,
Oh, yeah, this was set up as a low
risk.
competition to get sites as it was. The reason we're in March this year is that we kept getting beat out. The deal is you have to call 365 days ahead of time at 8 o'clock, be the first one to make the message, and you get the reservation. We did that 6 times last year and ended up in March. So
this sounds almost as hard as getting reservations for Avatar Fast Passes at Disney World.
had to bring the Disney.
So, of course I have to. Since I can't do a Disney themed con. We covered election, covered that. We have a picnic in May. Just a reminder, it's a picnic, it exists. But check the MN First site, we should have what our official events going on there. Yes, I'll stop bringing up Disney. We'll just be bringing up Kingdom Hearts instead. Completely different subject matter. So at this point, let's talk a little bit about our staffing needs. Our staffing, I always tell people the first 3 years of a con, the most dangerous thing that happens to it is money. Money is usually the biggest problem for cons the first 3 years. Year 4, 5, and 6, it's staff. Well, usually always there's a staffing issue. People get burnt out. People's personalities start rubbing against each other. Things that people were there together because it was needed to be started. They don't feel that reason anymore. They see it going. They don't feel like they need to be there or they need to put the full effort into it anymore. It happens. And it is really one of the things that happen at con. That's one of the reasons why everybody tells people to look for your replacement. So when you start feeling that burnt out or feeling that crispy need, you can lead on somebody else. And right now we have what we call, a lot of people call a full-fledged con, full-fledged con here. So we have a lot of things that are going on there, and we do a lot of things. And right now we're missing staff in a lot of departments, and we are missing heads of staff. Recently, our volunteer heads had to step down for reasons. Social media head is going away forever. Well, not forever, going to Japan. But I figured once you get over there, a portal opens up into a blackness and nothingness, and then you get sucked in. So I've seen it in video games. It must be true. You go through, we losing people in video gaming. We're just going to continue it. I really am imploring people right now. If you're feeling burnt out, you're feeling tired, talk to your division head or me, or talk to D and everything. D is our staffman. Also talk with him. But if you're feeling tired, feeling burned out, taking a small sabbatical right now is fine. Taking time off and being what you need to do. We can make it go. We can work on these things. We are also going to be really trying to push harder to get volunteers and staff in all levels. The difference really from a volunteer and a staff is somebody that's willing to work specific hours, willing to handle certain things. They're more responsible. Basically, they're responsible and they're willing to work full year, sometimes during the year and stuff like that. Even secondary staff, for divisions, I only help out doing this. I'm staff for this. We are expecting a lot of people to come in and say, hey, we're going to have some sort of training. You need to look at the training before the con starts for that. To make sure people know processes, make sure things are run. If people are, that's always one of those things where you find about staff and people are like, well, I just want to help at the con. Can I staff? And I'm like, that's kind of, you just want to help at the con. Probably it's better just to volunteer and do it at your time. Even though it is sometimes likely, because the person's asking now and said, oh, ask at the con. We'll have something for you to do at the con. They'll never ask at the con. But at the same time, a lot of people's intention is, I only want to work at the con. It's hard to place them there and say, please come back at these times we'll give you something to do. But really, at this point, I implore everybody, use your social media, use your friend network, talk to everybody you have about staffing and helping out. We are going to be running critically low on staff, and these are going to start hurting our convention at this point. And also, need to get people, I'll say in a second.
It's one very slow.
Yeah. So it's, but the staff, it's at the same time, it's also people getting burned out. And we're going to burn ourselves more and more people out. We're going to get frustrated. We'll look at the con as something that is a pain, that something is not a love anymore, something you're doing just because you're helping out somebody else. First Kellic, then you. Well, stop monologuing.
I'll be honest, I never really wanted to take merch. I just took it because there was a hole that needed to be filled. Shut up, everyone. I don't mind doing this, but quite honestly, I want to get out of this and do something else. So I'd like to actually, and I understand that generally we're supposed to try and find our replacements, but ultimately, I get so much on my freaking table right now. Trying to find staff alone, let alone replacements, is the bigger issue.
Yeah, so one of the things that Kellic is saying is that he's doing merchandise more as right now, because it is position in the con, he wants to help out the con, but it's not what his dream position either of, basking on the beach with the sun drenched on him, or, maybe helping out with sponsors or something like that, or it's something else. It's hard enough to find staff. It's even worse to find a replacement. What we should be doing is working a little bit with Dee on these things, writing up our what we need for people. We need to make sure on our website it has what we need for people. One thing that is in our budget right now, okay, I'll make sure.
So, do we have a site somewhere, a document or a web page that has a list of all the staff positions that need to be filled so people can talk with their friends about it?
Right now, there is a volunteers and staff page on the website. I have to see, there was some information up there, but it's not been updated. To be honest, I'm pretty sure anything is there, still probably need a person there, but we will need to expand that out in the next week or two or three. What I would like to do is work, Dee and I will probably be working on this indirectly or directly, depending on the day of the week, maybe just Slack messaging, where we'll try to look at where we need more people and more things. But even if it's just a minor need, like I just need another person here, let's get this up. And this does help cons and everything else. We're trying to, without going into discussions about this, what is viable to give to people and what is not viable to give for people for volunteer perks and everything else. One of the things I would like to say is we are currently planning for this year to provide everybody a volunteer t-shirt for working the con, for staff and volunteers. So this it's in our budget. It's not been finalized yet, but it's going to be, we're trying to increase what we can give out and trying to do it without breaking and making ourselves bankrupt. Because the key thing is it depends on where you go, is what people's philosophy on what you get for volunteers. I mean, some of it is a philosophy that you're helping out the con and that's enough right there. To that you were going to get a party boat down Mississippi or something like that. With Dancing Nick and Judy Hop sitting there dancing around with you. So I'm sure that we'll be somewhere in between. We're going to try to continue to improve perks and try to find things that are either things we can give away somewhat free or things we could just improve on. It's a gradual process as we figure these things out. But I know we haven't done a volunteer t-shirt, and this has been something, and this will be a separate t-shirt than what we're doing for anybody else. So it's been something that's been in works for a long time. And I think it's been something that we need to say. Not all the logistics are finalized on it, but just wanted to make sure people know we're trying to do something to try to make things better for everybody. And yes, our volunteers will get it after the con if they put in a certain amount of hours to be determined. Probably about the same as before. So Okay. Team Drive, file sharing, keeps on saying we're gonna do it. I'm gonna probably do it tonight because every time I start working on it, I see somebody starting to share something. So I'm gonna just put my foot down and I'm gonna reorganize Team Drive tonight. Team Drive is gonna be reduced down to 3 shares. One share is gonna be a very public share. You will not need an account to access any files there. There is no, that is unprotected. That is going to be where you say, always the rule is do you care if somebody sees this? Is this something that the public can see without, being a surprise at the con, or just saying, oh, they're going to try to do this and spread rumors and you might not even be prepared for it and stuff like that. This is, yeah.
I wouldn't be worried about total public access in case someone loads full of viruses.
This won't be right, that will be read for the public at that point. You will have to have a Furry Migration account. Anybody that is staff, they should be sharing their staff email with each other. If it's at any level at that point. And the staff will all get access to the staff one. That's where we put things that are a little bit more, what we care about that we don't want the general public to just randomly do, because for example, our logo is trademarked, working on. And you don't give that up. You don't say, oh, you can use this on anything, and find out later and you get the Furry Migration thought. But it's one of the things, it's one of the things is that we don't allow people to use our logo without explicit permission, because from a nonprofit point of view, you're not supposed to profit on the use of your product, of what, Furry Migration and Minnesota Furs does. So it's all things like that. Majority of our information will be between those two. You will have a confidential one, and that's going to be for registration, accounting, anything that is really going to have personal information. And all those people, the members in those groups, are supposed to be vented to handle personal information. There may be a couple other things up there, but it's mostly going to be just personal information. So division heads will have access, registration, and a couple other ones. If there needs to be something other than that out there, let me know. We will have, there'll be ways of doing drop folders on some of the stuff. There is some weirdisms because Google is not done with their product. Gee, what a surprise, Google finishing something. Right now in beta is the Google, if you mark everything as public readable with no restrictions, it still kind of screws up the folders, so you can't really share them 100%. They're fixing that right now. They know it's now, it's in the priority bin, because after 2.5 years of people complaining, you can't share a folder directly. They're right now, it's in beta. So it should be coming out sooner than later. There's a couple other things that should be coming out so that a person can, like I said, the public directory is always one that you go, this is information that we don't care if the public reads and everything else. But we will still control if they can write to it. Who writes to it and everything else. But it's one of those things we want to make it easier for everybody to access documents. By default, everything in that directory, so if we share a spreadsheet from there, it should by default not require you to log in to any Google account. It should just allow you to read it. And that's how it's set up. So it's just, we just need to do it. Anybody that's an older share may break. So if you shared out a file to somebody else, that might break. But at the same time, this is something we just need to get done. We keep on saying it's supposed to get done. And this will simplify it. And the key thing is, if your file is not there, even you have files in other places, and I don't know about it, and I don't transfer it over, it means that no one else can see it. Google Drive has, by default, likes to write in its own private area for each person and each address. And if you don't write it directly to Team Drive, it doesn't get shared out to anybody, and it goes into la la land. And you might think that I can read it, but I cannot, nor can any administrator of it unless they take over your account. They don't even know it exists. So, any questions of me rambling here?
When are we doing password resets or emails again?
Because you can send directly to the help desk channel in Slack or email me right now. I should read the help desk email right now. We need help desk staff.
Talk to me later.
Or talk to Radia later, we might have some help there. We'll talk about that. But if you send it to me, the reason why we didn't do it this year was because last year the pain and suffering was too hard. And people were locked out of their accounts for 6 months and kind of didn't realize it. And when you do a password reset, it's a 24-hour reset. So I'm resetting passwords now, boom. You have 24 hours, go, Mission Impossible. How many furries will reset their password and you send it to the right person? So we'll talk more. Usually when people, at any time you can reset your password yourself. If people are leaving your department and everything else, that's a good time to reset your password. For some reason, even though you might be your favorite, most trusted person, it's still probably smart. So I'm sure I'm going to have a couple of passwords reset in October.
I'm not even sure if I should take that. I'm thinking of taking over the Fursuit Lounge.
Do we have an official Fursuit Lounge?
It is listed, but no one runs it. It's not Slack.
Just send me a message in Slack, and we'll figure this out.
Yeah.
I mean, might as well. I mean, if you're doing Fursuit Lounge, we might as well, you can have.
I'm kind of hoping to get some feedback from people about what size fans they like.
The big ones.
Yeah.
See, you don't even have to ask. We already have the answer.
Well, and then that's a lot of little pointy up fans too.
Well, the reason why people like those too is you can shove them up things.
Yeah. I actually have like 4 of those already. One of the uses.
It's even better when you shove multiples of them up. So, next thing we'd like to talk about is milestones and everything else, and some milestone dates. These are high-level dates and everything else. Your department and division are expected to be making your own schedule. And then we'll put them together. We want to be talking about your milestones. We would love to say to people, hey, these are your milestones. But we want to give you first an opportunity to write these up. Otherwise, I'm going to just make some stuff up and you're going to love it. I'm sure, because everybody's loving it. So, I mean, for example, there are times because there are just necessities. For example, everything in the con book, everything has to be submitted by July 15th at the latest, the extreme latest. And that we have time. I mean, we only have, even with that, that gives us only a 2 to 3 week period to be able to do things. But we might have to push that even further, like towards July 7th, July 1st, where we get a little more feedback from the departments. But really at this point, I mean, it means anything that you're going to publish in the book, pocket guide, or anything else needs to be done there. This becomes a critical date for everything. Then, what time is your hours? You need to know before this. What time? So you need to know what time your department's running. You need to know if you're running panels yourself. You need to know if what's your room placements, what's your room hours, everything. Gotta know this stuff. And I mean, yes, a lot of this doesn't change. You can't, but you need to actually think about it and say, are these going to be the same hours every year? The hotel, I believe, is May 1st. Is that correct for everything?
It is June 9th for the resumes, but otherwise, as for May 1st, I don't have anything.
Yeah, let's say May 1st right now, that all of our room out, all of our submissions for it need to be, and if you do it May 1st, if it's due, you just helped out everybody. So, but just do it May 1st, plan May 1st. This is where you get what's in your room, what do you need there, and everything else. These are critical. These are some of your most critical milestones right there. Logistics is going to need to know based on your time of getting things in and out. Hey, I just saw something on Slack, sorry. The logistics needs to know your load in, load out. How many weeks in advance?
Sooner the better, honestly. We kept having to change plans last year because the hotel hours kept changing, but
We shouldn't have that problem this year.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully. If the hotel hours weren't changing, what is the time and date of that one? That, if you don't have it right now, come back with it next meeting. When is the date you need all the information so that you can start planning your runs for logistics?
I'll need to double check on that. It hasn't been the focus at the moment. The storage space has been, so I haven't been looking at that just yet.
So, I mean, next week. It's one of these things, we need these dates. I mean, these are just, when we get some of these dates and everything else, everything falls into place. Like, we know what time logistics will have the stuff from the storage locker, thank God. When the storage locker or storage space, what time they're moving out, we know that you're gonna be getting it, for example, at 6 p.m. Why are you getting it at 6 p.m.? Because you know you're opening it at noon tomorrow. For example, I'm not saying times for these things. Notice I didn't say a department. But I mean, it's all, we have an interconnected web. When you don't respond and you don't provide information on the timely fashion, everything starts to break down. And the key one really is the publication date, because that gives everybody all the information about your times of your rooms, your times of what's scheduled, what's not, the major events and everything else. The other thing is we do need to make sure we have for the website, it's going to roll in, your information when you want forms open and when forms closed. We've been very lax with it this year, and we need to really start getting our stuff opened up on here so we can start taking submissions. We're not at a critical point yet, but we're getting to a point where we need to get these things going. Otherwise, it's going to look, we're going to lose our image of being quote unquote, and I will put this with air quotes, professional COD, looking COD, because we get a lot of compliments because they compare us with other CODs in this, even in the state, outside the state, furry CODs, non-furry CODs, and their responses that we're really on the ball, we're professional.
And even going against professional trade shows that are out of the time.
And that includes trade show ones that are being run by companies that run trade shows every week. They know the whole process. They know what to do, and we're being considered to be more professional and on the ball than those people. That scares me, and we should have a job in something else that means. So, but the website is, we need to get that going. We need to get that content. When you see things you need up there, your department is in the end responsible for the content and the actions of the site. If you have a form on the site, check it every once in a while. It should always send to you. It will, usually it will always send to you. If you're not receiving it, usually it's something else. But it's, a lot of times you need to just keep checking. You need to keep on making, keep on checking your content on the website, check your things. And if you have social media responses, you want them on a certain date, figure them out now. Send it out there. Even if we are, right now, our social media is a little bit, right now, relaxed because of people. But if you have a date on it, I'll make sure it gets out there. I will make sure personally it gets out there. So I'm just double checking something. Programming, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, blah, 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 blah. Okay, maybe my phone will come back in a minute. Okay, budget process. We're still in the finalization of our budget. It's not the way I want it to go. Our incoming COD chairman knows that. But next week I will have the full budget say we're going to go with this to the board of directors, and I will say my usual thing is that we'll try to hit the budget plus or minus 10%, 5 or 10%. And if we start having any serious changes in our budget, we will inform you. But that gives us a little bit more flexibility so that if we're going to be thinking we're going to reduce our actions down, we still have to tell them. Or if we go way over and we have to spend more money, we have to still tell them. But if there's something like we forgot a box of paper clips, we don't have to go back to the board of directors because it's going to break our budget by $5. That's what you, so we try to get our budgets to be pretty close. They're very high level intentionally for our staff and people, because we go based on what we did last year, put a little bit extra sometimes, and we also try to get feedback. Doesn't always happen all the time. So I'm just looking for things. Ooh, somebody needs talent. But it doesn't always happen all the time that we have everything in the budget. It also doesn't happen all the time that everybody gets to see the budget. We sent out a link. I've tasked the division heads to talk to departments. Pretty sure, to be truthfully honest, that it doesn't happen as smoothly as I want it to happen. People are busy. It's just that time of year, and people get there. At the end of this meeting, if you're still around and this is really fascinating to you, I will have talk a little bit about the budget process, and go through the budget, but from a high level view. So if you want to see that and everything else, please, after the meeting's over, come over. We will hopefully record it. I don't think it will be more than 30 minutes. Then again, I might be talking about the stats of Sora at that point, but
don't worry, I'll keep it short.
Keep it short, simple. Simply stupid. So I'm looking for my notes on theme, and I could probably say them right off the top of my head because Mako could not make it. And I'm going to just have to go off my head because I wasn't as good about writing this down. So in one place. If I say anything that's a little bit different or wrong, you're going to correct me, right?
If I remember, yes.
Okay, thank you. So two failures of memories are better than one. So with theme and everything else, you know the theme. The theme is on our website. This is phase one of our theme. We are going to be doing much more phases on this. It's going to be a different style than last year. We were trying to be more interactive. We're trying to do ticket systems and things like that. For various reasons, that did not work. People just didn't get the idea and everything else. We're going to try to do a little bit simpler this year on that. We will try to do something for participation and everybody's winner. So
we're going with the millennial theme.
Yeah, it's totally sports millennial. So one of the things that we're going to be, and this is some of the stuff is tentative with license to change. We're going to start off with getting suggestions for teams, and we're going to do brackets against teams.
Sports.
About sports, sorry, not teams, sports in general. So we make up our own sports, and then we'll have the sports fight out each other. Razor blade and both tossing could be fun. And I'm sure that will be pretty high up since I can rig the software. So
what about greased dwarf bowling?
No, that's banned in multiple states, not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
What?
Greased dwarf bowling.
Well, I thought we were gonna do dwarf tossing.
No, that is actually banned.
States too, and is considered now in the last, would be considered to be inappropriate and offensive.
New Zealand banned it entirely.
And potentially a hate crime.
Yes.
Now cat tossing is, I know that cat tossing is done in many homes still today at this point, especially when they get on the couch.
So does that qualify mooring?
Only if you wish to be bit.
So some of those sports will be used at the convention and everything else. Thank you for
There's a
correcting me on
company
that.
called Team Sports at the Furry company. You probably don't know what it is. It's not safe for work.
Not safe for furries. But going back on this, we're still gonna do, we got the poster idea. We love the poster idea. We are also doing other activities and voting throughout the year. We're also gonna have, we're still having get your character in the book, but we're gonna probably have this year as 2 contests, one around for writing, doing a writing contest before the con. This will be separate from Iron Artist and Iron Pen. And whereas the written words will be to be determined, I assume it's going to be the website, maybe in the pecan book for one part. I'm not for sure on that one. We are working on some of the things in the background right now for some of these things that are going on. But one of the things that come out of this that we really do, just like everything else, we want somebody to get involved with theming other than Mako. We need to have people that are willing to just, if they only want to do a couple hours on theme, it could be even doing drawing, could be writing, could be anything that's outside of what we're talking about for contests and stuff like that. That's very helpful. But
signage.
What?
Also signage.
Signage is a different topic, but that's actually almost a department at that point. So, but like I said, didn't have all my notes, so I'm trying to go off my top of my head. That's why you see So, last note on that is that it's pretty much at this point, I mean, it's going to be a very much a little bit toned down version of the theme, but we still need a lot of help to make it really execute. So if you have time and you just, outside of your own department division, you want to just throw 2 or 3 more hours to help out the con somewhere, that's a good one to do. And that can be done before the cons, especially. This is stuff that we can get the stuff thought of. I mean, as I noticed the comment about it, it would be great to have some stuff for Anime Detour. Even though that's kind of separate from the actual theme of the con, it still is stuff we could get in between things. We talked about hotel before. We have a hotel, right?
Yes.
We'll have hotel things. Want to come up here? I'm going to say this. There's a couple things in the hopper and everything else that are being worked on, so we'll have some announcements about that next month.
Yep.
But one of the more important things is, how's the hotel doing?
Very well.
How,
Despite some things, but very well for the most part.
how is our registration for our room nights going and things like that?
So our current pickup is at 356. Wow.
I would like to point out our first contract with our previous hotel was 320, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So for what was the requirement? Our requirements, we need more than this, but at the same time, it's not like we're panicking.
What's the percentage of the total room nights we need?
That I do not have information currently on that.
Guesstimate?
I honestly don't have a guesstimate at that. So as for like how the new system is working, aside from that one day where the entire Hyatt went down, better than passkey. And when I said the entire system went down, you couldn't book at any Hyatt at all.
Including their front desk.
Wow.
And yet still bring the passkey somehow.
Yeah. It was passkey's fault somehow in that.
Yeah. So as for the new system, which will from now on will try to be referred to as high res, not my idea.
Oh my God, is that what they're really calling it?
That's what they're calling it.
Oh, okay.
So they're still working out some kinks there, but we do have Eric and I have direct access to reports. Some reports, but other stuff like the pickup, we still don't have access, and we're going to be working on that. Another thing that we are working on is certain, lost for words for a moment there. Suites right now. So right now we're still trying to get things squared away with suites before I release a few more into the block. And I'm sure some have noticed that Sunday is looking a little bit poor considering we only have king rooms available. So,
but we have a lot of king rooms available.
That is true.
So it's kind of one of those catch-22. We can go to the hotel. Hey, we need more king room. Saturday rooms. Sunday night rooms. They'll look at you and go, "You have king rooms, though. Doesn't everybody want king rooms?"
Not in this fandom, there's too many queens.
We did set ourselves for that, didn't we?
I mean, what?
Queens.
I don't know what the record is.
We'll tell you.
We'll tell you when you're older.
And of course, the last thing to touch up on is, again, resumes. We do have a lot of you that are in there. We still need a few more departments. Again, the real due date is June 9th, but if you can get it in by May 1st, that'd be awesome. And if anybody has any questions or concerns, feel free to message us either by email, by Slack, or by talking to us during breakout. Yes.
I was messaging Flip a little bit. He suggested we make the deadline for knowing when you pick your edits also coincide with the resume.
So a June 1st date for all logistic stuff at that point.
Yeah.
I like that. I like being ahead. That makes sense to synchronize it.
It should be when it's fresh and everyone's mind.
So just to note, logistics is June 1st with hotel on June 1st, but we would like it May 1st would be best. Always do it early because May showers. Well, April showers will bring May flowers. God, my mind is just screwed up. Eventually, I'll be talking about Organization 13 all the time. So, but
Anybody have any other questions during hotel that should be addressed now?
yeah. So, I mean, like I said, just if you have any questions or any problems right now, we're at the part where we have a blob and it's flexible and everything else, and we're forming it into something. And about 3 or 4 months from now, it's going to be pretty much hardened. And we were hoping that this is going to be something really popular, like something from Disney, not from Universal. So if it's something from Secret Life of Pets, I will be very upset. I would rather have something from a Disney movie. So, but the key thing is, if you have for a hotel, you need to get it in now. If you're having problems booking a room, get it in, get us knowing about it, because there's a lot more flexibility and there's a lot of things we can now help. And I expect to hear more things about the hotel in March. The fun part about hotel is you get to talk a little bit, lot, and then all of a sudden you don't talk about anything. It's like, why? Well, everything's in place. I can't do anything.
Pretty much.
So.
In real life.
Well, you can start negotiating next year's contract, renegotiations. And I'm going to a little bit on division because we have a couple things. I have staff and division heads. I want to take a couple moments about talking about division heads and everything else. Division heads are people that are a member of our group. They are there to help us run our convention because, to be brutally honest, I can't be everywhere. Division head is supposed to help reduce that time and everything else. Division head is also helps provide vision and leadership for that for all the departments underneath it. There are times where we are busy, and including the division head's busy. If you can't get in contact with your division head, and it's something you need to talk about, please come to me. Or if you're having problems at all, I'm here. You can also come to Dean because he's staffing in too, but for a lot of that stuff, I actually do like that. We're at this point, we have technically 2 people that are division heads here because one was forced as part of becoming con-chairman for 2020, became a division head. But everybody else could be available for work reasons or other events going on in the community. So I'm going to try to go through my head on a couple of things right now, unless we have representatives from their divisions. Because programming's not here, fiscal's not here. Also, VIP services and assets are not here. I think we've covered everything important about assets. Programming will just be getting stuff up on the web soon and get more talking in the background. Fiscal has a lot of stuff and everything else. We're gonna be, there's gonna be changes in Artist Alley. Dealer is coming soon. I think there will be good changes overall, long-term. Pretty excited about those. And also at the same time for VIP, we talked a little bit about this. One thing to note is for guest of honors, we can have another guest of honor if we want to. We have the budget for it. The reason why we don't have another guest of honor is we just haven't heard a good enough idea. And a lot of our criteria is for how much of an impact they've done either in their local community or how much they've done in the furry fandom. We will consider people up and coming. It doesn't have to be somebody that is on the way out of the fandom or is things, because it's easier to find impact then, but we have people that have been up and coming in our community and the things. It doesn't have to be a writer artist stereotype. It could be somebody that's doing something. And it's got to be a good person to work with. If we hear somebody that's not that great to work with, we're not going to bring them as guest of honor. But if you have some ideas, you can send a message directly to me or Mako. I don't think we have a guest of honor channel in there. And I'm kicking myself. Mako just reminded me, the voice of Mako in my mind, has reminded me of something I forgot. He's going to be weirdly monitoring the theme channel on Slack. So if you want to talk about anything, you have ideas for themes, you have questions, go there. If it's something that you don't want to talk on Slack or for various reasons, you can email theme@furrymigration.org. theme@furrymigration.org. And either of those two will get there. And we're always taking ideas and always considerations. So, do you have anything you want to say about anything? Okay.
No.
You want anything? Okay.
So as Chris mentioned, we do not have a head for volunteers going into this season. I know Dee and I have talked about doing a cross-purpose volunteers head both for the con and for society side. If you know anybody that's interested in that, please see me or Dee and we can talk about what it would be, what responsibilities and how we work all that out. That's the biggest thing I have for this meeting. So.
I can just keep on emphasizing it.
Yeah.
I hope we don't have to talk about this in May.
Yes.
I hope we don't have to talk about it in April. I think I'm dreaming to say, but I hope we don't talk about it in March.
Yeah.
So, but really, if we're looking for something critical for it, that is one of them. We had a great head 2 years ago. We had a great team and great head at that point, and her unit moved for the Army. So, and that's why we don't have her. So, we had one of our most successful years for volunteers that year. So,
I have a new understanding and appreciation for volunteers because I'm working for a con, which they're good. They don't understand the role of volunteers. I'm not there to actually put in place what shifts you're supposed to be doing and that kind of thing. It's like, oh,
it's an actual way of running it, but the problem you've got with when you do shift-based volunteer is how many people don't show up.
Well, no, I'm basically putting people in place for badging. It's like, that's not my job. So I very much appreciate the complexities and volunteers.
Yeah, volunteers is a very complex thing. It's very easy to mess up, but it's also very easy. And when you're doing it right, it's easy to get blamed for things that wasn't your fault. It's just a very hard thing. One thing before we do talking about going to break out for a couple minutes. Slack, anybody that's a member of the convention can get access to Slack. We expect them to be there. It's our way of communicating with people.
The convention or the convention staff?
Convention staff.
Thank you.
Well, we could technically, no, we can't. I don't think we have enough seats for that. But for every member. It's a good way to do it. It's easier than handing out email addresses to everybody. Also, we do have ways of tracking the information at that point if something happened. for all of us, there is some ways of doing it. Also, for other reasons, it keeps everybody there. I have started a Slack channel of IT hints and everything else, Slack and other IT hints. I think you might have noticed it. I've found from a couple of people that say, hey, I don't get my messages very fast on my Android phone, or they don't seem to appear at all. And there seems to be power savings can affect it, for example, and how the setting up notifications on your phone can set it. So I found some of that information, put it there. I'll continue. There's other hints and things to how to use better our resources. We'll get there. Does anybody want to share the floor before I do the standard? I'm going to point at people and say, hey, who do you need to see? Oh, you have your hand up. I thought you had your time up here.
No. That was for society.
What hat are you having on?
That stuff. Okay, right now I'm
Enter
back
your
to
time.
staffing administrator. I'll try to keep it really quick. People have been wondering what's going on with staff lists and all the org charts and all the other things. Right now I'm really in compliance mode for getting all of the data over to the election committee. However, now I'm starting to be able to take a step back and be able to refocus back on the convention proper. So here's basically the timeline for what's going to happen. This weekend and this week, I'm going to be working with Kirst on finalizing the org chart. Once the org chart is done, next weekend or a little bit before next weekend, all of the division heads should be seeing the refreshed org chart. I will be asking you to verify emails, make sure that I didn't forget any departments, and then go over your departments and tell me who are the heads or co-heads, or if it is vacant. Once that gets done, about halfway through this month, I'm going to be sending out an email to all of the division heads, all the department heads. All of the departments let me know, yes, the information is correct that you have over there. I am in fact the department head still, or co-head, and also let me know what staff you have. I'm going to take that, redo all of the charts and graphs, and hopefully by this time, next month, we will have a staff list. Then March, the goal is to get all of the documentation and everything updated. So mid-March, all of the HR stuff should be online, ready to go, updated, and ready for you to rock the rest of this year.
So, yay. Yeah. And we'll get a lot of things moving once we have that done.
Yeah.
This point, we're going to be awkwardly pointing at people to see if they need to talk to somebody else in the room. And depending on that is how long our breakout is going to be. I know I have to talk to Kellick about a couple merchandise things. When we get back, when we convene back, I actually will probably be talking a little bit about merchandise, probably about there, because there's a couple things we want to make sure that we're all on the same page, but then I want to tell people what we're doing on a couple things. And then we'll say our goodbyes, and then I will do the budgeting. And for anybody that wants to look at the budget and go through the budget with me, I will be there and we'll record it, and it will be amazing. It will be fun, and I'm sure I'm going to screw it up somehow. What I'm going to say, I put my foot in my mouth over live TV. So pretty boring.
I'm going to talk to hotel and I have no idea.
That's fine.
I need to have a conversation with hotel, and if anyone hears from the communications, newly formed communications, that is publications, social media, signage, web, please come visit me.
Or if you want to become part of those departments, please come visit them too.
I need to talk to merch, hotel, communications, administrations, you, Twisted. I already talked to D.
2/3 of this one.
Yeah, pretty much. I think I got it covered now.
Possibly in the merch conversation, and I need to talk to Lego and operations.
People are probably going to want to talk to me. Later, I'm going to talk to Kirst. And everyone should talk to my laptop if you have questions about your hours, what I had for the last, for this election period. You can come up and ask me. If you're not here in person, you can send me a message over Slack and I'll get back to you later today or tomorrow.
As a reminder, I'm video, so if anyone has any video requests for promotional content or anything like that, talk to me now. And I need to talk to whoever about where camp.
I guess that'd be.
Defaults to you at this point, low-level staff now.
So whoever needs to talk to hotel will be in my corner over here, and I do not need to speak to anyone at this moment.
So, this is kind of a question on hotel because for everyone, I could not make a reservation when I included Thursday or anytime after Sunday. So I have to check out Sunday right now. Was that fixed?
That we are currently working on.
Okay, cool. I got Friday through Sunday, so I have something there for the weekend. Cool. So beyond that, nobody's here, dealers, right? No.
No.
It's not a big deal. I just need to start talking about where I'm located. It has to be a wall location. And then I gotta talk with you guys about merch and let you guys know that I didn't have anything to do with MN4's t-shirt last time around. So I don't know why this is getting thrown at me because I don't know who to talk to.
Not that I can think of at this time, nothing.
Okay, no problem.
I'm in touch with you, don't know why, you're just a conjurer.
Yeah.
I know more communities help out the store stuff with snow and me, and I wish your society portfolio was here today, but well. And then whoever else needs to me.
I don't believe I have a recipe for anyone other than the storage conversation.
I followed this one to start volunteering, working.
I just need to go over ask Flip about things.
I gotta talk to Maureen first and Dee all at the same time.
Nothing for me.
So let's just do 20 minutes. So actually we'll make it a little bit easier. Let's make it let's do 2:45 instead of merging time. Let's get back. Like I said, we'll talk more about budgeting a little bit later, so.
Warren? 3 real quick.
Okay.
So,
I gotta get
it's one of those things that we're not in a position to which is very much Capital still wants to help out.
I'll get flagged to run in here soon. It didn't happen.
So
I will talk with him about this.
Like I do ask for my stuff right there.
And there's one, yeah, you do that from.
Yeah. I just had no thing that we want to do.
No,
So you have.
Insert. So, you and I are helping the last year. She said she had to talk to me about it. I wanted to actually talk to her at some point and see if she I talked to her just after the con. She said she's interested, but that's just after the con. So, yeah, so we can go do that. Okay, cool. But I want to, I know she might be able to. Yeah, I want to get on our tour to really able to help out if all possible. So no one has to spend more than a few hours there. That's usually my rule of thumb.
And one of the things they realize that you have space. They want
that he was going
Music is great, I didn't realize that.
whatever works for
Something that you just kind of normal. Somebody's here to drop something off to Jimmy as possible. Maybe that's not you. So,
What is it?
Yeah.
I can get the opposite. So we'll put a note on it. It's gonna take that.
I know very little about GRC. This is very what we ended up having to do last year, kind of forced travel. Well, I was going to tell you guys, you're talking that's your change because we tend to need to access very quiet. But it really, because it really comes down to what kind of matching. So far,
So, it's an outlook, but it's like.
Google doesn't make an account. Actually, there is a data sheet that you might have to consider. When we have the data, the first thing we're going to do is, so that's on the type first I had heard, may or may not be a problem. That would be generated information into the self-service. It doesn't affect our route two, which is mostly perhaps over. This is belonging to they won't be very basic. slow for those things, however, we need to figure out. Well, not just workflow from that side, workflow from whole thing. Make sure that it's on top of it. Because, for example, when something comes out, this one over is one of the storage. Yes, officers, you should work on your is your name so correctly. Those are no yes, you've actually done this. Then go back.
Yeah, we have to do Costco. Unless the Costco is or at least the frozen food is small enough. Yeah, then we can just get dry stuff and water.
Exactly like that, and more so than the staff website, it would send a notification. Set up anything if I think we're both notify and send the actual staff for This is the first step.
My idea is not about because walking is a concern system. If I I was staff there, so quite honestly, my if I'm staff, I see a good idea. I'm looking at conversations. I just had something for the right now and.
We're actually right. So green is brown and black. You can see where we should study ATC first, because that's what it would be.
One of my
people are going to put together things. I understand
he drops out.
I can make 15 different items. But if you have 15 different things with the basic concepts of security on my team, we have to take out one or two things. It's a consideration in there for something.
There's all kinds of things. I'm trained as a software engineer. I'm systems administrator.
Expensive hobby.
No, I just, so, they had, offered this, they've got variation. They actually have a band for either Eric or yeah, we didn't have a venue.
So when you say.
As well
All NFL, but all part of the logo, the plushie, and we have just who had the first it was branded, not just a filter or anything like that. You have different types of things that said Furry on it, but also you had the logo on the top of that. We really should.
So, hang on a second.
And the other is without consideration.
So, new bag they have.
I actually like this one. This is actually better than the previous one. It's a little bit heavier and nicer. Again, they can have their logo and they have clean in that one. And we don't have anything to look at. It's just much better. Yeah, that's just more. And that makes things not difficult or boring. It's just feel weird. I would like to see, just like I did with the dog tags, have FN in there as well. Utilize that.
Straight to,
Yeah.
First question. Sounds good. Yep.
Why go ahead? The idea of a t-shirt. It sounds like in lieu of doing a volunteer shirt,
The philosophy of what we're taxing it, we're gonna have the jerseys in. That's gonna take up our time now. If you have ours, instead of doing what we want t-shirts, like t-shirt arts for so.
But
It's a happy process.
it's gonna come down to more popular. Yeah.
But it's all the things that, so, you don't have to worry
And again, I apologize for not getting your email. I got my brand new phone, added all my other accounts except merchandise accounts. So I saw that.
Let's just get, Marco has to be. It's not right, I would actually, probably, the files aren't, or they're not vectorized. So they are better because there is no transparency. The good news is we have again, if you want to get t-shirts, and since the pre-con t-shirt, last time we wanted it as quick as we can get it, so we can sell both of them and everything else, we still sell it at tops, but we can, people want it now.
And the bigger question I have on this, not that I'm kind of running around on this, is it's easy advertising, but every other t-shirt we have is easy advertising. So ultimately, you have glut t-shirts.
That's the thing right now at this point, or at least the demand, is lost to wait for less demand we're gonna have.
And that's fine.
Exactly where it was, but just to get the agency was like.
That's the, since we are doing a pre-con t-shirt, we're doing. I'm not even talking jerseys right now. My bigger concern is pre-con from last year, if we're doing another run on that, are we doing another run if we want to again? Because that, the draft.
So most of the things that kids like so you're actually on staff. Right now, there's not really head of communications.
I have no idea even how many players members or how many order things. The intent or the concept was basically doing another AdCon or one AdCon and jack up the price to compensate for. You guys didn't get your shirt, so you're gonna pay a little bit more now. But if we're doing that,
I would worry about the keeping prices fine. It's not just like, like people are gonna also.
Oh, yes. No, we also, they require. Why are we at the truck right other? Or that they want to raise all our prices up.
They're gonna go like six.
The reason why I asked is
Bring up last year's price.
Okay, this year's price is awesome. Okay, jacking up last year's price needs an end result, smaller product. And the 30 or 40 people I actually talked to around here had no problems spending $25 on shirts.
So,
They really
I'll email help desk about getting first of all, I'll email the people to talk to. And then I can use that to get into the drive, so I can then use that to make the form hotel. Okay.
Ultimately, This is a.
It's not a science.
Yeah, so transfer it to everything else after.
Anyway,
Years ago, I did the backdrop for.
even though we want the t-shirt, it should be over there.
For your right now. So that is, effectively, I work attached.
You know exactly where.
Okay. I have buildings, I think it's G L Young, and then I have offices.
I'll be honest, I'm taking this job, I was not planning on going every other meeting and selling stuff.
$700.
The only
other thing I can think of that upcoming is the,
Okay, so, I mean, the picnic, that's kind of why I wasn't in a
anyways,
again, I can start working on that, but my biggest thing is I really want to have some, one way or the other, I want to have something at the convention by the time we get to September, for the free t-shirts.
That's nothing.
Everyone was asking.
And like I said,
Part of it, and well, the reason why that was, people were pissed because they aren't looking. There was no physical way for them to get. No,
it's not
I'm missing.
don't, this is the thing. We make them run. We get something shirts. I'm gonna say, third color that. We have to make colors.
Again, I don't mind getting the 2018 Freecon t-shirt, getting those, selling them wherever you want. My biggest concern, yes, my biggest concern is to cater to the folks who really wanted that shirt. They couldn't because they weren't local.
The other thing is, you have to realize that there is points of cost of the instant. I mean, it's not available on that side. No one will say, hey, I really, you're better than. So it's one of those things that we just get it done, especially the local, large, some of the locals do want that, so.
What did we decide? Was it blue? No, I thought it was white and
It's how that color works.
I saw the email in the, I can't remember.
So.
I don't know and I think one course like this one color back. Everything back in 2018.
Does that change? Do you have to do a new setup? It's 20. Were we leaving off Furry migration and data? Again, you said that.
Should be like, we'll have the logo, but let them data.
The problem is the date will be coming, to make it timeless, we have to take it off from, we don't have to do the sign. So don't do that, just put it on the back.
Okay, so I can get that out this week, or at least get.
Then part of them would say, hey, we've done a first t-shirt picture, you have it on your record. Do it that way. Hopefully everybody says that yes, file, you don't have files, you don't have files, I'll find your files. If they don't have it, I'll just have to redesign it. Or one version, going to the first round, I would never get it.
It wasn't, Festworks was never on the board, right?
Festworks was never on the board. I
can't remember what his name was on the board. It wasn't Fest, it was Fest Light versus No, I can't remember his name, but I think he was the one who did the actual first run of the yeah. He did the first part on that, so I don't have any details, but I can definitely reach out to them. So basically 150 new built, smaller.
Maybe a little bit, sure. It will change someday.
This is part of the reason I really, okay, some asshole nominated me for board. But, no,
I would not just go through it.
But,
I put it this way, I have to send out the email. I send out the.
I get it.
I knew there was someone I should have nominated. So let's get back together. But yeah, just
turning up the volume never works out, right? So I thought there's going to be one or two other little small things, and Kelly left the room, so I want Kelly back when he comes back, and I don't have my drinky drink.
You don't know. That was a tricky thing I was talking about. Oh, yeah.
So, one thing that this is related to theme, this is related to everything else, is a little bit of merchandise. We know a lot of people like the pre-con t-shirt of last year. We will be doing another run of it, slightly modified and not white. So, it will be different.
It'll be light gray.
I don't know what color it is right now offhand. I mean, there's talk about gray, there's talk about blue, there's talking about, but it's also going to have a different color design too.
Eggshell, ecruteak, ivory.
Zebra stripe? Zebra stripe does not, would cost us more. We are starting to work down instead of a pre-con t-shirt this year, we are going to do a jersey. A sports jersey. Because of the cost of the sports jersey, and we're probably going to have some customizations you can do. This is going to be a pre-order only for people, and this will be for staff. This will also be for the public and everything. But they'll have to be probably registered. Hey, can we get the reg number on their jerseys?
Also, kicking around the idea that you have to be registered for the con to order.
Yeah, might be required to register for the con to order it. We haven't decided. They will be. There'll be a little bit of things. We'll work out that, and we'll still have at con regular T-shirt though, for those people that can't afford or don't want a sports jersey. So. More details about the sports jersey as we continue on it. We're we're picking up numbers, we're figuring out who to go with and everything else, because that's actually kind of almost as important as the art itself. So, like I said, this is what kind of the slower month of all the months for the con and everything else. It's kind of one of the more boring meetings to go to. We're not taking votes yet. I saw a message on Slack. But at this point, we'll go around the room. If anybody wants to say what they're going to be doing, if they don't want to say what they're doing, don't say anything. But after this meeting's over, I do want to talk to you and Mooring and Twisted. And then afterwards, I'm going to be anybody that's still here that wants to hear my charming voice more. We'll go through the budget at that point. We'll talk through the budget. So going around the room.
I got to get Slack and Team Drive working so I can update the hotel thing.
Okay.
To be doing web stuff.
Web stuff. He's doing stuff.
Working through, we have to work through.
Classified.
Trying to figure out what department I'm in next year.
Yes.
Working on storage location and also starting to plan the magic draft.
Yeah. Stuff.
More stuff. More stuff.
So, and that just reminded me one thing. We are still working on storage at this point, and it's going to be, that's not at GPS, so we can have a bigger storage area. And we have a couple options, and they're coming, we're going to pretty happening in the next couple months from what I could hear. Before the con, this will be amazing. And then when we have that, a lot of stuff will be out of people's houses, hopefully. So, yes. But then it actually is required to be out of your house for some of the stuff.
Oh, take it. Take it, please.
Like, you don't want to have a merchandise room of glasses in your garage?
No, we don't. The radios, the operations kit, first aid kit, the vest, awesome pound, thank you. Stuff.
Yeah, stuff. The other thing is because I love to ramble and everything else, do we have our first aid training started to look at?
Starting to look at that, we haven't released yet.
Okay. Just thinking about getting mine renewed. Other than that, I think everybody's ready to get out of here because this is the end of the end.
It's not the beginning of the end and the end of the beginning?
I doubt anybody's online, but if we want to keep it going online, so do they want to hear about the budget?
I will ask.
Yeah, otherwise we can just do it offline recording. So. Anyways, yeah.
Can I just start the label?
Okay, so regarding your city,
Yeah.
this is from Friday to Sunday. Yeah, I expanded them from Thursday to Sunday. It disappeared. I expanded out from Friday to Monday. It disappeared. So. I didn't post you right now. Okay, so right now we're gonna get a minor variety versus trying to these are our.
Before folks leave, if I can get you help tearing down tables and chairs, and if we sleep in front row, it would be greatly appreciated. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yes, what fields are still ours? Mining is bad or.
I'm just looking for Thursday, Sunday, checking out Monday.
Yeah, I have that.
Backdrop something very that I got
Hi there. Just start talking and that would be great. I think they've all left here at this point. Well, I can't see my cursor. Where's my cursor? That's for chat. Yeah. You would think there'd be a button here or something. You could share. That's for share. So.
I'm done now.
Well, it's just.
Somebody was supposed to ask me about work.
Well, he didn't say I.
Yeah, I can see. Right there,
Great
with ground. Oh, Rico.
Oh, yeah, red, white, green. Okay, I will follow you online. So we're meeting here now?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it over here. So, well, for that part, hold on. I know, I was thinking about. Well, the papers are. Okay.